In this video, we're going to be going through the installation process for the FAST LSXR 102 intake, as well as the Holley Sniper 102mm throttle body. Right now, I just have the intake sitting up on top of the engine, and boy, it's looking pretty good already. But I do want to walk around. This isn't bolted down, don't have gaskets or anything in it yet. I want to bring you guys in closer and take a walk around and point out some things to look at and the process that you're going to need to do to get this thing installed. So let me get you guys a little bit closer and we'll take a look at those few areas. Right off the bat, I want to discuss one issue that I, as well as many other people, have with this kit, and that just kind of rubs me a little wrong, and it's the fact that it does not come with O-rings for the manifold, for your gaskets, essentially, because they're O-ring style gaskets. Well, for the cost of the manifold, yes. The FAST LSXR is a fantastic manifold. It's one of the best manifolds performance-wise, especially for throughout the entire power band power range. However, for the price tag that you're paying for it, you would think that they would also include everything that you would need to install it, but that is unfortunately not the case. So that's one thing that I want to talk about there, or wanted to talk about. So you are going to need to get your gaskets sold separately. These are cathedral port, or this is for cathedral port. I'm not sure if these same O-ring gaskets would work for rec port heads. So I would just do a cross-reference and see that. But I could speak for the cathedral port, these fit. I mean, the reason why I'm saying they might work for both is because they're rectangular style O-rings. So we will get these installed. And then beyond that, there's a few other things to take a look at before we get this bolted down. First off, I want to talk about the different areas on this manifold that might require some modification prior to fully installing it. The first thing I want to look at is towards the front. You have two areas that are set up on this intake manifold for your map sensor. And the first location is here in the front, and that's the smaller hole with this threaded insert. Beyond that, the larger hole would be for if you are running an EGR and going to continue running the EGR, you would open that up. All these are currently not drilled out. So depending on which location you use, and I'll show you the other one here in just a minute, you are going to need to drill that out. When you do so, you need to separate the two shells of the intake manifold, which would be done through removing the bolts in the corners. There's 3 in the back and then 2 in the front, and make sure you get all those shavings out, because for obvious reasons, you do not want the shavings to get sucked into your engine and cause all sorts of problems. So you don't want to be lazy and just drill it out and kind of, be lazy and not vacuum all that up properly. So this is your one option. Another option that you have if you don't want to use the front location is that there is one located on the back, which is right here. Again, this one is also not drilled out, but it does already have the threaded insert in there should you decide that you want to use that location. So either one will work just fine. And you have the option, which is nice that there is some versatility as far as how you want to have it set up. Me personally, since I am going to be initially running this naturally aspirated without boost, and I'm going to be using a Holley Terminator X Max for my ECU, I can just come off of a vacuum port and go to the vacuum port on the Holley ECU. And I don't have to drill either of these locations out at this time. However, whenever I increase, and I do plan on doing boost on this engine in the future, when I make that jump, I will need to go to a larger map sensor to probably something more like a 2-bar, which is beyond the capabilities of the connection that goes to the Holley ECU. So I will eventually have to either use this front location or the rear. Moving on past that, another thing to look at is you have 2 intake vacuum ports on the back of the intake manifold. For these, you have your brake boosters going to go to this one, and then I'm going to use this connection there to go to my Holly, or you could use it for whatever else you want to run. If you're not using those, make sure you cap them off, otherwise you'll have a massive vacuum leak and it will not run properly. Before you bolt this intake manifold down, you also have 3 pads that go in these locations that it just gives you a cushion against the knock sensor valley pad, pan cover, whatever you want to call it. So we will put those on here in just a minute before we get to installing this. Which brings up another topic point. Looking at the valley pan here, we've already done a knock sensor delete and put this blank pan on here. But if you are still running the knock sensors or have the stock valley cover with the typical hex head bolts, those are not going to clear. The FAST kit with the intake does come with new bolts that you'll have to replace these. In our situation, we don't, because we already have pan head bolts, so it is going to not be an issue for us at this time. Another thing of interference when you're running this manifold is going to be your steam port on your cylinder heads. From the factory, oftentimes they come with a crossover for the front and the rears are blocked off. If you have one in the rear, a factory hardline, you're going to need to remove that and put blanks if you're going to run that style. You can reuse the front, but only the front. You cannot use an aftermarket steam port kit that uses hard lines that comes down the valley here. There is not enough clearance, you'll hit it. However, in a future video, I do have a steam port kit that I'm going to share with you guys that I'm going to run, and I'll show that more in detail whenever we get to that point. If you're not going that route, like I said, you can use the crossover for the front, but not the rear. I would recommend going with something like the kit that I'll show you in a future video, but for now, we're going to leave that undone. Before I get this intake manifold installed, I am going to change this oil pressure sensor because I'm running the Holly. I'm using a different connector or a different sensor that uses the connector that the Holly runs. So while this intake manifold is off, I'm going to replace the sensor real quick, and then we'll get to installing the intake manifold. For anybody who's interested in doing the same EFI swap and using the Holly 0 to 100 PSI sensor, in order to use it, you're going to need to get a reducer. I got mine from Earl's, and this is the part number if you want to do the same. Now let's get back to getting this intake installed. I'm going to start off by putting on these little bushings.
Somebody out there kicks me in the head. Somebody blames me or call them dead. Feel free to hurt me when
Next, we're going to install our 10 intake manifold bolts. Make sure you put the washer on them.
When I need your help, you'll say I'm guilty if you're wrong on this. Take my mind, spin it in the ground.
Once you have all these bolts finger tight, you want to torque them down in starting from the middle and then working around in an X pattern. And you want to ideally do these in 2 steps. First step's like 45 inch-pounds, and then you want to end it off with like 89 inch-pounds. I only have a torque wrench that's in foot-pounds, so yeah, I'm just gonna go straight to like 10. Don't tell anybody, but you guys do it correct. Now that we have the intake torque down, we can move on to our throttle body assembly, which is going to bring us our next challenge. So we're running into conflict with our water pump in a couple places. So for one, whenever we put the throttle body on, we're going to contact the top of the water pump. Additionally, and I'll show you, I mean, it won't bolt up because of that, but also, even if it did and we had clearance, we're hitting this upper radiator mount for the water pump, which is obviously not going to work. So I did a little bit of research, and it turns out you're going to need to run an LS2 style water pump. That will give you the clearance you need, and then that will move your upper radiator hose location either to straight out the front, or I saw some other ones I was looking at that also move it off to the right, which depending on if that's going to fit and work with everything, I might go that direction, because our upper radiator hose location on the radiator is on the driver's side. So decisions to make. I'm going to have to pull this off to install this, and then work on getting a new water pump. Not the end of the world, but you know, let's work on cars. Now that we have the water pump off, we can continue with our installation of the throttle body. So we're going to again put the included O-ring, in this case it's included, into the intake here, and just work this guy in. And then before we put the throttle body on, I am planning on also running a throttle cable bracket, because we're doing drive-by cable on this. So that's going to go over here. But before I do that, we're going to add a gasket, I think, on top of this. I don't know if that's right or wrong, but we're going to give it a shot. I figure it can't hurt, right? Watch me be wrong. Wouldn't be surprised. And then we'll put another one on the outside of the throttle body. We're going to have to do this all in one piece. So we have everything set up: gasket, plate, gasket, and then throttle body. And the O-ring is in there still, obviously. And we'll just get these started to hold everything in place, and then we'll come back and tighten it down. Throttle body's on. It's torqued down again to, I believe it was 89 inch-pounds. And then I got the idle air control in, as well as the TPS. This does not come, throttle body nor the sensors came with the hardware, so I got that ordered for right now. It's just in there. Whenever it comes in, I will screw it in. This one's a little bit snug, so I'm not going to pull it back out, but you can see that you've got the holes for those to go on, and you just screw it down. I also put on this little barb. I'm not totally sure what the intended purpose of it is. I'm probably going to cap it off. I got rid of, or I'm going to be getting rid of, a lot of the emissions, and I'm not doing EGR or any of that junk, so I'll probably end up getting capped off. All right, guys, so we got the new intake on, as well as the 102 millimeter throttle body. I think it's looking really, really good. Definitely looking forward to getting this engine in the car and hear it fire up for the first time. In the proceeding videos after this, we are going to be putting in our injectors, our fuel rails, and then we'll also be taking a look at installing those steam port crossovers and all that good stuff that I mentioned earlier in this video. So be on the lookout for those. Thank you guys all for watching. You guys get outside, get wrenching, piss off your neighbors, disappoint your mom. Until next time, keep on keeping on.
You can see the